Hello. All right. I'm hanging out with Corbin in the studio. So, yeah, we did a stream last night, and it was a lot of fun. Lori joined me. If you weren't here, check it out. It was really cool. She was showing a bunch of books that she signed out of the library. One of which, and so did I, but not as cool. And one of the books was about understanding the creative mind. And it was very interesting. We found it very interesting. And Corbin was there, right? Corbin wants to say something. Just give me a second. All right, come on. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey. Is that it? That's about it. Okay. All right. Back down you go. Things I have to do with that guy. All right. So, hi, Linda. Hi, Tim. Bing bong. There we go. I'm going to make the bing bong sound whenever I put things up on the screen. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun last night. And it was interesting. She kept reading quotes through it. And that she was gleaning from the book, trying to understand, what's wrong with me. Understand what makes the creative mind the way it is. So while we were doing the little brief stream, we did this. So this is ink drawing done with one of the loaded ink reservoir pens that I have. So this was a lot of fun, and these are both done by the same pen. So what I thought would be cool is to utilize this and to try to construct a page out of this and a bunch of other random images that I've scanned from sketchbooks. So with that in mind, I'll show you a bunch of things. So I've scanned the alleyway, and I'll make things larger as I pop them up. We'll figure out where to go with things next. And we'll put clear backgrounds on them, and we're going to try to figure out a way to change them all to the same value system like we did recently. Or I can just draw pages, whoever makes a call on this. Do the digital thing, do the ink drawing. It's up to you. So this is the engine, and this is it scanned into the robot. So you can see, I think, a lot more details now. There it is. So you can, whoops, I'm sorry. Get the light behind me and keep making it pop up on the screen. So you can see a bunch of additional details now that it's in the computer, so that we can enlarge it to such an extent that it's able to be picked up. So that's the second thing. Now this is a crazy pile of parts that I just drew randomly in a sketchbook. And so I thought, well, now we got two engines, and in addition to that, this is a random bunch of geometric shapes to make up compositionally like a city scene in the background that we can utilize. And then this is a paint marker drawing that is of a guy who's feeling, overwhelmed maybe, or stressed, or smells something terrible. I don't know. So there's a bunch of images that we have that we can utilize to do something with. So, that's the idea there. Yeah, I don't need my name up. So one of the things that I can do is duplicate the base layer, just so I got a white layer around everything. And I tend to just compress it. Lucy, what are you doing? Leave that alone. So into one layer. And the reason that I'll do that is so that, there's no loss of value around the edge. So So I'm trying to, there we go. See, I took out all that little graying that was going on around there. Hi, Chris, welcome aboard. So there's our engine layer. And so I can compress that white background into that now. And here's our next one. So we'll duplicate a layer here. Now, I'm going to be sneaky Pete. What does that mean? I don't know. So I'm taking the color of the page in the sketchbook, and I'm making that the color of the page. And this is the opportunity to come through here and to, am I in the right layer? No, of course I'm not. So I'm going to remove some of the errata that's in the sketchbook from, other drawings that I've probably drawn over, or other drawings that are right up to the edge of this image. So I'm just taking all of those out. Now, ideally, when I can now, see, there we go, cleaning it up. I keep getting a glare on the screen. I'm trying not to. If I am, I apologize. You have many apologies coming from me. So here's tightening up our image. I don't know why I didn't put a red band around that one. So, now it's all one surface, right? So if I'm going to take out the base color in the background, so this would be how I do it. I'm going to try something first. I'm going to switch. First, I'm going to compress a layer. And then we're going to try to switch it up to white. Which is a lot of little fills. Not people named Phil, but dropping color in with the paint bucket. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. So this is just running through and trying to remove as much of this cream color as I can. And that's why I wanted to make the background uniform with it. So it's all just flattens out and eliminates out now. Just starting from the same place. Maybe it's sympathetic magic. I don't know. Maybe it's not wasn't actually necessary. I'm not sure. But so this way, when I convert this to line art, all of this background should go. Go where? Go away. And then I'm leaving certain little things like these circles and, bits and bobs. Bob's bits. But, it's kind of, I think it's kind of it was a fun image to make, and let's do something with it. Well, see, every now and then I hit a spot and it just takes out a whole area, so we don't want to do that. Maybe it's, see, there we go. Now we're dancing. Okay, so here is this area now that we can convert to a black line art image. I saved an extra one just in case, and now we don't need to have that kicking around. So I'm just I just dropped it right on that image. And then so the decision that needs to be made is this our background color? Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. And let's just blunk. There we go. Look at us. People are going to think we know what we're doing. So now I've got this as our starting point. Right. So if I take this and I convert it to line art so that it's something that we can, I forgot what I was doing there for a second. Oh, what just happened there? I'm not sure. Oh, yes, I am. I got a new channel, but I didn't make a new layer. That doesn't work either. Huh. Let's go back. Is this background? Did we or did we not? Maybe I'm on the wrong layer. Who knows? Well, we'll find out. All right. So if I scan the whole thing now, copy it, go over to the channels. There it is. I don't know what I didn't do right, but we did it, team. We did it. So, next question time. Do we do this? And I'm going to do an extra layer, and then I'm going to pull this up, right? Move this out, and then I'm going to pick up this yellow color. And so now as I go back to here, we can make a layer that's the color of the yellow that's in the face, if that makes any sense. So you take the black one out. So this layer is done. So now if I pull, so see, our drawing has now become this light yellow. Now we've also got, oops, sorry. We've also got a black line version, just in case. So we don't need the original here now. So we'll just get this out of the way. Get out of the way. Okay, so now we've got these two separate versions of this. And so, you know, I can, as I go about with each one, I mean, I can do the same sort of thing. If this is boring for people and you'd rather, hey, monkey, just draw, I'll do that. I don't mind, you know. So same thing, we're inverting what's highlighted so that we can do two versions of it. One in the yellow and one in the black. So that's all set up for our engine now too. So we can now, you see how, like, this is clearly much lighter, but now we can put this into this composition. You know, do something with this. Hey, look at me. Have that sticking in the side of its head and the other machine coming out. Like, there's just so many different things that we can do with story here. So we don't need this guy in the way anymore. Get out of the way. So I've dropped him down here. So we've got, next up, the engine. Engine number 2. So I'm highlighting it. I'm inverting what's highlighted, so it's not the foreground highlighted now. It's basic, or it's not the background highlighted now. It's the foreground. And we're going to make a black version, and we're going to make a yellow-orange version. So we don't need this crazy kid anymore. So there's our yellow-orange version. There's our black version. Go team, go. Go team. So Lucy's joined me in the studio. She's just having a little nap beside me, so we don't need that there either. So that leaves one more thing. And this last thing is The same as everything else. Highlight it all, copy it all, open up channels, make a new layer, paste it, marching ants, Control-Shift-I, color dropper, boink, and one more color dropper, boink. So there we go. So we've got versions of this now. So let's get this out of the way. Now, so that means we've got all kinds of different, I'm just going to highlight the orange ones. Let's just start there. So this is all of the orange pieces of information. I think there's something to be said for the black line art pieces of information. It's orange. I think that there's definitely something to be said for that. So let's consider our composition. Now we've got, let's get the backgrounds out of the way. Oh, that's an engine. All right. That's an engine. So first and foremost, this guy, I'm going to duplicate the layer to darken him up. So let's duplicate it one more time to make it crisp and black. Right? And then we'll merge all that down. So now it's as dark as the other one. Just not as crisp and clean. We can try it one more time. Yeah, that's it's dark as the other one. So let's take that and compress it. So that's all one dark layer now. So we've got two pieces of engine. We've got one dude in the middle. And we can take our engine sizes. Let me get rid of one so we're not overlapping. And we can reduce it down. And have this sticking into his head. Ow! And then we're going to take the other one and we'll get on the right layer and we'll reduce this one down. And then we've got to decide what angle is all this stuff spilling out of his head. Maybe we need to move him over. Like move our base layer here over so that it gives us a little more room, and it will just extend the orange. And so we might need to reduce our airplane engine now. Is it sticking into his head? So there's that. Move our head over. Ow! And then go to the second engine and move. Just trying to think of what's a great way to have it look like it's all spilling out of him. I think it's going to involve cutting out some of the details. Stretch them out, yeah, a little bit more. And let's fill in the background, this color here on this layer. So it's much wider now. There we go. Got to drive to work, see you in a few minutes. Okay. Okay, so we're taking these different elements that we've scanned, the engine that we drew last night, the other random image out of a sketchbook. We've got some background scenes that we can do something with. There's the alleyway scene that we can do something with. Let's take this abstract, that similar to the abstract I have in Hot Dog. But let's take this yellow version, this line art version, and we'll just stretch it across the whole of the image. It's just background detail. And we'll move it up as well. So what it's going to give us is just randomness in the background. And then we'll erase out the stuff that overlaps our foreground character. But this is just turned into a headache story or something like that. And we can add more of the engine in the yellow because we did switch it up and do the different parts of things in different colors. But if people like this, let's compress our black engine parts down to one layer. Simplify, folks. And we're not going to use that. We are going to use that. We are going to use that. So let's get rid of all of this extra. I'm going to take this and copy it and throw it on a different page. This is me thinking about doing this in a portrait format. So there we go. I'm going to delete the hidden layers here because we got all that stuff on the one that we're working on. And let's delete all the hidden layers. Whoops. Goodbye. Let's delete all the hidden layers on this one now because we don't need them. Simplify. Okay. All right, so here's where we're at. Now, one of the things that I can do right out the gate is let's put a framing box around our image on a whole new layer. Thicken it up a little bit. What did I do? I forgot this and this. See what I did? I screwed it up. Way to go, Runsman. Now we can delete the hidden layers. I had the wrong thing saved. Okay, we're back to it. We're back in the game. So if I put this box in here now, there we go. And it's on its own layer. So this sort of tells us about where we want to adjust things a little bit. We can move him down. I'm good with where the background information is, but I'm moving him down so I can move this stuff down. If that makes sense to folks. And I can now take this background details on these different layers and get rid of it because I don't need it in the frame. Because I got nothing busting out of the frame in this. And then when the whole image is done, I'm just gonna space it down a little bit to the bottom of the page. Actually, why don't I just do that now? And put that border on it in a second. First, I'm gonna pull it down. There's that, and then I'm going to pull this layer down. People are going to think we know what we're doing. We don't. Oh, for goodness sakes, I did it again. I don't want to compress these yet because then it'll put the yellow bits of business over top, so I have to go through and erase those first. Goodness gracious, what's going on with me today? Okay, so I've got eraser tool and I've got it set at the highest opacity I can. And so I'm just going over the face and I'm erasing out all of this yellow information from the background section. So there's all that coming out. This, now we can see the face. Gets rid of all this junk. Hi, Liz. Welcome aboard. So I've got, oops, well, that's fine. Who cares? We'll fix it in a minute. Expediency here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to cut opacity down and just blend this out into our background area. Why? Just because. Okay, so now I can merge these. There we go. So now we've got the ability to do what I was doing a moment ago, which is drag the base down a little bit so it's even Steven at the bottom. And then I'm going to drag this down and grab this part and pull it up and fill it in. There we go. So there's our basic composition. How you doing, Gary? So the next, so I'm just going to drop that border on the base. Now I've got the engines, the one I drew last night, the one that I've done previously. I'm going to monkey around with this guy for a second because this is bugging me. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Jeez Louise. If I could get on the correct layer, that'd be grand. So now I'm going to just adjust our engine a little bit. Make it just a little subtly better shape. And I'm going to do the same thing down here at this end. Better get a bucket. There we go. So, hey, Gary, how's it going with you today? So there's our two different elements here. Now, I can put more black into our character here, or I can convert the red that we have here. This is where decision time kicks in. So if I do that process again, where I wipe out everything, but if I want to pick up, which is the darker red I can find in here? Probably this one. There we go. So if I take this, all right, and if I compress this to a layer and then I make it, we'll do the same thing again, where we'll turn it to a transparency. So now we can make it a color that works for us in our composition. So let's see how this works now. Yeah, I'm liking that more. Let's do it one more time, just in case it's not dark enough in that first one. Okay, so now we've got our red outline drawing. So that's given us, someone needs a shot of whiskey and a coffee today, perhaps. Maybe. So now that we've got this layer set in, get rid of you. I don't know. I'm going to decide in a minute if I want it to be darker. But what I can do is take this yellow, and I'm going to go through here and throw it in behind our engine. Now I've got Roger Miller's engine number 9 going through my head. Dang. I love me some Roger Miller. I mentioned Roger Miller recently, and somebody said, "Who's Roger Miller?" And he said, "He's Alan O'Dell in the animated Robin Hood movie." That's the only reference I gave them. Not his musical career. No, just Alan O'Dell. He's a rooster. So this makes a nice little opaque background, and we'll figure out what to do next with it all. That now makes this a solid, but we can still do all kinds of things to it. And I'll do the same thing with here. You know what? I'm just impatient today, flat out. So now we've got these guys coming together. And this, this sort of ties them into, because I can do my highlights in an orange and a little bit more brushwork to make it a little more, tie these two things together. But it just, taking the black line and converting it to the background red that's around our character. And I'm going to outline that a little bit more. Again, just tying the elements together. So this part is probably boring for folks. So why don't we write a story together? So let's think about our first statement, our hypothesis here. Okay, how about we can talk about processing information? I think Gary is working and playing this in the background, folks. Get my jacket up. Okay, so let's look at our story beat here. And let's find a fun kind of text. Oh, let's put that in behind. And I'm going to make this bigger for everybody. All right. Sorry, gang. There we go. So now we've got our piece together. Now, I've got a standard back issue lettering type choice. And what kind of letters do we want? Is there some sort of, what is buzzing? It's driving me crazy. Is if I've got letters rolling down the side screen and we're just looking for something, I don't know, industrial? What's this one? We're on the wrong color. Let's do black, because black is wicked. And we'll take cap locks off. That's underneath layers here. That's why it's light colored. Is the information going to fit? Nope. Let's try too many details. So, you ever have a day when you're trying to process too many details? There's the thesis so far for our page. Now we can make the letters darker. We can make the old typewriter is cool. That's a keyboard that because I took typing in school, I pressed the keys really hard. So I apologize if it's too loud. All right. So you ever have a day when you're trying to process too many details? So what do we want to say? Oops, sorry. What do we want to say towards that story-wise? I mean, we can arguably say something along the lines of, it's like an idea crams its way into your head and just comes out all garbled. I mean, that's one possibility, right? Is there any way that anybody wants to, in the chat, suggest a way of saying this? Now, there's all kinds of additional fun we can do with this visually, right? Adding more stars throughout and getting more oranges and stuff into these objects over here, and some highlight whites and a little more outline in the red to uniformly bring in this character into the overall, blend this pink out a little bit more. There's all kinds of additional things that we can do visually, but because I normally spend X amount of time on the visual aspect of things. Today, let's have some fun writing some text on it, and then we'll fix it as we go along. So the text says, you ever have a day when you are trying to process too many details? So that's what our text says so far. I mean, have you ever had a day? Like, I could improve my grammar, but let's throw this together. So I'll give the opportunity for anybody that wants to try to suggest something else. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pick up our red again, thin down our brush that I'm using. Go down here. Doodle-doodle-doo. Too many brushes, folks. Too many brushes. What's this give us? I think it's a clean line. So if I I'm going to do a little raised layer here. And I'm going to put, it's hard to see right now, but I'm going to put a tighter red line around our guy's head. And then after I do that, so now you can see it peeking through here more, I'm going to remove this pink. Just because it's bugging me. I think I've got most of him outlined now. So let's go down to this layer. I'll pick up the orange and let's drop it on the pink. Goodbye, pink. There. So, reverting back to our little red outline here, we'll keep going on with that. And I put it down very thin just to, well, I don't think I put it down as thin. I think I made some of it disappear. I don't know, maybe column A, column B, huh? So now we've got a tighter outline on our sketch, like our doodle from a sketchbook, and we're being able to utilize it more directly in our page overall. So there's a couple things that can be done at this point. I'm going to remove, what I'll do is I'll put in a couple of elements into this area here as though this is just more stuff coming out. And then we'll take out where things are coming out of our guy. So if I go back to our yellow and pick that up, now we can fill in this stuff. I need to make that bigger. Oops, way too big. I'm carried away, folks. I'm on the wrong layer. Good heavens. Now we're in the right place. There we go. So this is now all information that's spilling out of our dude's head. You know, like, and then we can do a little bit more of that and draw another part here. But this is what I'm talking about with trying to, you know, spill all these different things onto the same surface and figure out how to connect them all together. Liz says, I didn't realize that you were creating this from all of that. Oh, that's very nice. Well, that's very nice, Liz. So if we go in again, picking up the red, I have a little spot that I know I get the same red from. And let's reduce that size down dramatically. And I'll draw a couple more pieces of information here. Just to tie it up nicely. And I think I'll have more parts spilling out of it. But back to our yellow. And then we'll do the same where we're going to drop that yellow color in here as well. So there's our, and you know, I got parts to erase out of here and things like that. So there we go. I can see my self-care items piling up on one side and a magazine image of a beautiful woman on the other. A very fun idea. Well, that'd be great. Try that. Take a random face, start to collage a bunch of things here and collage a bunch of things there. And then how do I express, you know, or how do you express that idea? How do you carry that forward so that, you know, as you're, that's a little better, so that as you're trying to uniformly tie everything together, what's it going to give you? I'm going to take the engine and adjust it on this side, which is going to make me have to adjust the yellow, blah, blah, blah. So I want to tilt the angle of it and I want to pull it down a little bit more. So it's kind of like a screw in the side of the head, which means I've got to do the same kind of thing with the yellow sloppy coloring that I've been doing here. And that's all right. We'll figure it out. Okay, so now it feels a little more like bang into the side of the head and splow out the other side of the head. I think I need to move it down a little bit more again. Just, you know, you got to get that. Oh, see, this is it. I want the right placement so it goes in this side of the head. Oh, that side of the head. And I think that's it, right? That's temporal lobe. Drag this down too. So one of the things I shared last night was examples of the thing we do at the London Comic Jam. And to share that process and possibility with people out there in the world so that it might be something of interest to them. And that was a lot of fun. And I hope people enjoyed that last night and might consider doing something with it in their own social groups, you know. And it doesn't have to be in that like a rigid sequential format. It can be in whatever medium that you're using and form of expression that you're using. It sort of opens itself up to visual communication, storytelling communication, all kinds. It's the same as musicians playing, instruments on a stage where, freeform jazz, right? I mean, unless I hate jazz. Well, but so I'm just highlighting some of these objects that are already on here using the colors that we already have identified in the original background information. And so we can go in and utilize some of our tools as well, where, give me 1 second, please. I've got a brush that's stars, and so I'm going to make a new layer for this. But what's really fun about the brush of stars is that it lets me do things like this. I think actually this would be make more sense to be coming out of this side. Things spilling out in this direction. I think that makes a little more sense. And then, of course, make sure that that doesn't overlap with anything we don't want it to. So now we've got some little fun details kicking in here and into our composition. And we're using the colors that, that we have already established in the piece. So I think what I'll try is, oh, that's huge. So let's do this again. I'll make a crown. Is that appearing or not? I'll make a crown of, I see what I did. I did it in the eraser. I'll fix that in a second. So here's one. And here's, actually, I'm going to go back and do that in the red. So there's one, and there's one, and we'll shrink it down a tiny bit so it's the same size as these guys over here. And there's one, and let's reduce it a tiny bit more again. And we'll twist, we'll flip and turn these around in a second. And then let's make one a fair sight larger for up here. So now I can go in, pick up our orange in the background, drop that in the center of the hearts, and come in with our yellow. See if this works. Nope, I don't want that. So I'll just draw it on with the regular old brush. I think that's what I used. Maybe the right size. So this is, repeating some of these other existing elements. Yeah, let's thicken that up. That's good. So that it looks like we're just extending some of these ideas, really. But hopefully, you're adding things, building upon the quick ideas you had earlier. So I'm doing this part of it, but in a second, I'm going to start grabbing individual hearts and twisting and turning them around. And this is on its own layer. And I'm going to move move that layer above the engine. Well, I guess I can't. I put it on the same engine as the other stars. We'll figure it out. Tell you what, I'll do this. So maybe what I'll do is I'll turn the other stars. Just have it like a crown. We'll see. So I've still yet to add any of the highlights and the yellows and the oranges and into the two engine parts that we've added, but you can see how it's things hopefully are started tying together. Starting taking my time creating paintings for such an improvement. Instead of one project a day, the goal is 2 per week. Oh my goodness, excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah, you got to find that pace that works for you. It's really important, and when you can do that, it makes the process more enjoyable, I think, than, getting caught up in what am I doing and how am I doing it and so on and so forth. But I'm glad to hear that, Liz. So there's the start of our whole thing. And textually, we started the idea for the page. Have you ever had a day where you're trying to process too many details? Nice, solid black now. And we can continue that narrative through the page. Your whole head feels like it's going to erupt with ideas. And but you got to figure out a way to focus that information. Like there's just, again, so much that we can play with our story notion from simply assembling a bunch of elements. And I mean, this is where, let's see what else I got here to show you. That's where something like this comes from. That's where hot dog. I just did a page called hot dog. It's just silly nonsense, but it's hot dog. You don't have to eat it like an animal. Ugh. That's the whole page. He's really into that hot dog. So fun. But I like, playing with, just a random thought, random idea. And, we're going to get back to doing pages with more paneling, a little more complexity. I'm just really having fun with, like we did Aquatic Ape recently that had far more panels. We'll get back to doing some more stuff like this. So I've just, I wanted to do some assembled images out of these various things that, we've got kicking around. So there we go. I'm going to do a short day today. We've been here for almost an hour because I've got a whole load of things I got to get done. So this is the rough work of what we've got for posting tomorrow. If you like this idea and that this is something that you might want to implement yourself in whatever your creative process is, please do so. It's, I own no, I take no ownership of this is the way I do it. You can't copy me. That's just nonsense. So feel free to play with these ideas and to explore them a little more yourselves and see what it, you can turn that out into. And I'd love to see it. Okay, so I will finish this and post it for tomorrow. But in the meantime, I have to get myself doing some paperwork, and then I have an appointment I have to go to. So thank you very much, everybody. Looks so good. Thanks, Liz. Fun project today. Thank you very much, Linda, the moderator with the mostest. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow at noon, 12 p.m. EST, and I hope to see everybody that feels like coming and trying some fun things. And if you have any questions, or if you have any, I want to see you do this, monkey, let me know. And I'll try to help out in whatever way I can. Hey, Chris says bye. Thanks, Chris. So in the meantime, go have some fun creatively expressing yourself and enjoying your day. Bye for now, folks.